Okay, the next part of our dissection is going to be in the abdominal cavity. So we're going to find the bottom of the xiphi humoralis, and then we're going to, this is the linea alba going along the midline here. We're going to be cutting through the abdominal muscles from the xiphi humoralis. When you reach your hand inside here, you're going to feel the top of the diaphragm right up here. So we're going to be cutting over laterally, up a bit upward to expose the liver, and then down in the posterior area here, down in the inguinal region, we're going to be cutting through here and laying the abdominal wall down. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Finding with your finger or thumb the base of the diaphragm and cutting down. Usually your scissors will cut through the ribs. And then down here, separate the body wall here. Okay. And now we have exposed the digestive organs. Tuck the body wall out of the side. One of the first things that we're going to see is the liver. Okay, the liver is a very large structure, the largest organ in the body if we don't include the skin. And the liver is divided into a left and a right side. So this is the right side of the cat. So this is the right lobe of the liver. Okay, and this is the right medial lobe, this very large lobe here. And then if we lift that up and look toward the side, we'll see this two-part lobe here, which is the right lateral lobe of the liver. Then if we look on the other side, disproportionate in size, this is the left side of the liver. This is the left medial lobe right up here, and the left lateral lobe. And then there's one more lobe. If we lift up the liver, it's covered with some connective tissue here. But if we open this out, we find one last lobe of the liver right there. This is called the caudate lobe. Kind of points down toward the tail. And so that is the liver. When you look at the right medial lobe of the liver, you'll see it has kind of a crack in it. If you open that up and you look inside, that kind of brownish structure, sometimes it'll be real green because bile is green. This is the gallbladder, so we'll be finding the gallbladder. And then underneath the liver, the next structure as you come down is the stomach. And in the middle of the stomach is this fatty area right here. This is called the lesser omentum. And it's inside the curvature of the stomach. This whole thing right here is the stomach. And the stomach is divided into three parts. The first part of the stomach is called the fundus. Then the main part of the stomach is called the body. Then after it curves here, this part is called the antrum. Fundus, body, antrum. And then in the inside here where you have this lesser omentum, this is called the lesser curvature of the stomach. And then we come to the outside of the stomach. So this is the greater curvature all around there. Attached to that is this very large fatty structure here. This is called the greater omentum. And the greater omentum is a large fatty structure which is covering and insulating all of the intestines and abdominal organs. Over on the left side, you'll see this structure coming up here. This is the spleen. This is actually pretty much part of the immune system. It takes care of recycling all of the used blood cells, and it's similar in texture to the liver. Okay, to see the rest of the organs, we're going to, one more thing before we get down here. If I pull the stomach down really far, you can see this top part here. This is where the esophagus hooks to the stomach, and there's a valve right in there that we'll be looking for called the cardiac valve. And then we're going to take the omentum. We're going to gently, it isn't fastened on the bottom, so we're going to gently lift it up. And now we're looking underneath the stomach. And so when we do that, we're going to pull down all of the intestines. And we're going to look inside here. We're going to see a structure which again has a texture of the peas. So this structure is the pancreas. It runs all along here, then goes all the way across. This little structure at the end here is called the tail of the pancreas, and it ends right over by the spleen. So this is a spleen, tail of the pancreas, goes all along there. And then on top of this, these are all the intestines, and the small intestines are on top. And the structure in between the small intestines, this is called the mesentery, and in the mesentery you have the blood vessels. Looks like we only have the arteries filled with latex in this cat. Hopefully yours also have blue blood vessels in there. Mine are just kind of dark colored. At any rate, the blood vessels are taking all the digested food, so you can see them all along the intestines here, and they pick up the digested food and bring it to the rest of the body. So these are all the small intestines here, and the small intestines have three parts. The first part of the small intestines, to find that, we have to pull the intestines all the way over to the side here. And we look down to the very bottom, right where we found the pancreas. This structure right here that goes along the pancreas is called the duodenum. And that structure actually hooks up to the stomach. So if I look up here, right here is where it hooks to the stomach. There's a valve right there called the pyloric valve. And so the stomach empties its food and it goes into the duodenum here. And in the duodenum, the juices and enzymes from the pancreas come into the duodenum, as well as, if you look up here, is the gallbladder. There is a tube that sends the digestive juices into the duodenum. Okay, where the duodenum, if we pull all the other intestines up here, we'll see that the duodenum makes a very sharp curve here. Where it makes that curve, that's the second part of the small intestines, and that's called the jejunum. So to collect the jejunum, I have to pull all the intestines up like this, and then I have to start gathering them in my hand. And as I pull, I gather more and more of the intestines. They tangle around a bit, and when I think I have made it about halfway, then I have the jejunum, and the other part that I didn't collect, that's just lying up here, this is the last part of the small intestine called the ileum. So we have the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. Those are the parts of the small intestine: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Okay, now, if I continue going through the intestine here, if I get to the end of the small intestine, I will find a spot where the small intestine enters into the large intestine. And right here, that little glob of fat there covers up a valve called the ileocecal valve. And this little part that I have my thumb over, that's the cecum. All right, then if I pull all of the small intestines out of the way, I can see that the large intestines form kind of an upside down U-type structure here in the abdomen. And the cecum gives rise to the ascending colon. Another name for the large intestine is the colon. This is the ascending colon, where it goes across the body. It's called the transverse colon. Then where it goes down, it's called the descending colon. And then that descending colon turns into the rectum right here. This is the rectum. And then that, of course, would remove the feces from the body out the anal sphincter. There is a structure here, if I pull this back, that you can see. This is similar to the mesentery. This is called the mesocolon, and it is what holds the colon to the body. You'll see some more blood vessels on here. The main thing that comes out of the large intestine and back into our body is water. A lot of compaction takes place here, and then because we have E. coli bacteria living there with us, and they are going to give us some vitamins as they digest all of the roughage that we can't digest. There also is an extraction of some vitamins at this point. Down here, this structure with the fat on it, this is the bladder. So this is the urinary bladder for the cat. I think that's pretty much the structures of the digestive system that are found in the abdomen.